Imagine being married for over a decade and suddenly feeling like you're losing the person you love most. When Claire's husband, Mark, started sleeping in his car, she feared the worst. Was he cheating? Was he hiding something? What she uncovered was beyond anything she could have imagined, a revelation that would change their lives forever. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to The Stories Unfolded. Stay with us for more tales of love, heartbreak, and inspiration that remind us how extraordinary life can be. Let's get started. Claire and Mark had been married for 13 years. They weren't perfect, but their relationship had always been built on trust, communication, and an unshakable bond. So, when Mark started acting strange, Claire couldn't ignore the growing sense of unease in her chest. It began subtly. Mark seemed quieter, distant. He'd come home from work, eat dinner with the family, and then announce he needed to clear his head. It wasn't unusual for Mark to need some space after a stressful day, but when he started packing a small overnight bag and leaving every evening, Claire's alarm bells went off. "Mark, where are you going?" she asked one night as he grabbed his car keys. "Just out for a while. I'll be back in the morning," he replied, avoiding eye contact. Claire felt her stomach twist. "Is it something I did? Are we okay?" Mark sighed and kissed her forehead. "It's not you. Trust me, everything's fine. I need some time to think." But his vague reassurances didn't ease her worry. Claire lay awake that night, staring at the empty side of the bed. Questions churned in her mind. Why was he leaving? Was there someone else? Had their marriage hit a breaking point she hadn't seen coming? For the next 10 days, Mark's routine remained the same. He'd leave after dinner and return just before dawn, looking more exhausted each time. During the day, he carried on as if everything was normal, playing with their 2 kids and helping with chores. But Claire couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply wrong. On the 5th night, her patience broke. She decided she couldn't take the silence any longer. That evening, she pretended to go to bed early, but stayed awake, listening for the sound of Mark's car pulling out of the driveway. As soon as he left, she grabbed her coat and followed him. Her hands trembled on the steering wheel as she kept a safe distance, tailing him through quiet streets. Mark's car finally stopped at the local park. Claire parked a short distance away and watched as he pulled under a tree, turned off the engine, and leaned back in his seat with a blanket and pillow. There was no one else. No clandestine meetings or secret rendezvous. Just Mark, sitting alone in the dark, staring at his phone or out into the emptiness of the night. Night after night, the pattern repeated. Claire's confusion deepened. If he wasn't meeting someone, what could possibly explain this behavior? Her heart ached with both relief and frustration. She needed answers. On the 10th night, Claire decided she couldn't take it anymore. After putting the kids to bed, she drove to the park, parked next to Mark's car, and knocked on his window. Mark jumped, startled, then rolled down the window. "Claire? What are you doing here?" "No," she said, her voice trembling. "What are you doing here? For 10 nights, Mark. 10 nights you've left me wondering if our marriage is falling apart. I need to know the truth. Are you cheating? Is there someone else?" Mark's face fell, his shoulders sagging under the weight of her questions. "No, Claire, it's not that. I promise, it's not that." "Then what is it?" she demanded, her eyes filling with tears. "Why are you shutting me out?" Mark motioned for her to get in the car. She climbed into the passenger seat, her heart pounding. He took a deep breath, his voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't want to worry you," he began, "but I went to the doctor a few weeks ago. They found a tumor. It's cancer. Claire's breath caught in her throat. What? She managed to say, her voice breaking. Mark looked down, his hands gripping the steering wheel. It's advanced, Claire. I didn't want to tell you because I didn't know how to say it. And I didn't want the kids to see me like this, falling apart. So, I've been coming here to record messages for them, stories they can listen to after I'm gone. Claire felt her heart shatter into a million pieces. Tears streamed down her face as she reached for his hand. Mark, why didn't you tell me? You shouldn't have gone through this alone. I didn't want to burden you, he said, his voice cracking. I thought, if I could just leave something behind for you and the kids, maybe it would make it easier. From that night on, everything changed. Claire insisted on going with Mark to his next doctor's appointment. Together, they faced the grim prognosis and mapped out a treatment plan. Mark stopped sleeping in his car, and instead, they spent their nights talking, holding each other, and planning how to make the most of the time they had left. He continued recording his bedtime stories for the kids, but now Claire was by his side, helping him choose the perfect words and memories to share. They spent weekends creating new traditions, like family game nights and backyard campouts. Mark wrote letters for the kids to open on their milestone birthdays, and left Claire a book of handwritten notes for her to read whenever she missed him. Despite their best efforts, the cancer was relentless. Mark's health declined rapidly, and within a few months, he passed away on a quiet autumn morning, surrounded by the family he loved so deeply. In the days following Mark's funeral, Claire found the recordings he had made. Each one was labeled with care. For Ethan, age 10. For Lily, high school graduation. And finally, for Claire. With trembling hands, she pressed play on the recording marked for her. Hi, love, Mark's voice said, warm and steady. If you're listening to this, it means I'm not there anymore. But I need you to know something. Every moment with you has been the best part of my life. You've been my rock, my partner, my everything. I hope you find the strength to keep going, for you and for the kids. And remember, no matter where I am, I'll always be with you. Tears streamed down Claire's face as she listened. The weight of grief was immense, but so was the love Mark had left behind. His stories, his letters, and his voice became a source of comfort for her and their children. Every bedtime, Claire would play one of Mark's recordings, and his voice would fill their home once more. It reminded them that while Mark was no longer with them physically, his love would always be a part of their lives. Sometimes, the ones we love the most try to protect us by carrying their burdens alone. Mark's story is a reminder that love is not just about the happy moments, but about facing life's hardest challenges together. If this story moved you, please like and share it with someone who might need a little inspiration today. And don't forget to subscribe to Stories Unfolded for more heartfelt tales like this one. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.